today I'm just going to show you a stretch for the hip flexors, something I promised in the previous video. So some of the exercises you might do in Pilates involve feet off the floor or for your hips to be in a flexed position, which can then mean that your hip flexors are working a little bit harder than you might like them to. So a great way to stretch the hip flex, and I'm going to show you from the side, is to have one leg in front of the other and open up the chest. I'm going to show you from the side and from the front. And you simply bend that knee, not allowing your lower back to arch, and then you should feel your hip flexor open and stretch. So the reason I'm showing you from this angle first is because what some people do is bend the knee loads, come forward, and this isn't actually, I can feel a bit of a stretch at the minute because I'm quite tight, but it's not a proper hip flexor stretch. You want to stay nice and tall, open the hip, and then bend that knee, keeping that knee that's on the floor, that leg as straight as possible. So let me show you from the front. So now you know I'm not arching my lower back, I'm nice and tall, I'm bending this knee here, and I'm keeping this open. If I did it the wrong way like I just showed you, you're kind of slouching and there's no stretch happening here. So you need to keep yourself upright and push forward so that the top and bottom of that muscle can move further away from each other, and that's what the stretch does. If you want to increase the stretch, this leg that's on the floor, lift that arm up, again, to make that top and bottom of the muscle come further away from each other by stretching up. Keeping that stretch, breath in, as you breathe out, if you want a deeper stretch, come to the opposite knee, keeping that openness at the front there so you're not twisting, and look over your shoulder. That will increase the stretch in the hip flexors. And that's something that's quite nice to do for us anyway, because sat at desks, we're often in this position. So our hip flexors are shortened, and we know that the stretch is to bring the top and bottom of the muscle further away from each other so it doesn't get tight. Whereas when we're sat in a flexed position, as we are when we sit at our computers, the top and bottom of that muscle are as close to each other as possible, and if it gets used to that position, we can get really tight, which can be quite uncomfortable. So a great exercise, or a great stretch, should I say, to do a couple of times a week, maybe 30 seconds a leg, or if that's a little bit much to begin with, building up 10, then 20, then 30 seconds each time you give it a go. Thanks.